Hey, e-commerce friend. Today's episode is a replay of one of our most popular episodes. And even if you listen to it the first time, I encourage you to listen to it again because it's likely your business has evolved a lot since then and there might be something that's more relevant to you right now, or you might just hear it differently. So don't go away, listen through. Let's get into it. Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. Today, I want to talk about something that's super easy to overlook, but can make or break the next few months in your business. Marketing during the fall transition. Yep, I'm talking about that weird little gap between summer and Q4, the zone where some people go dark and assume they've got time. Spoiler alert, you don't. But that's what makes this time such a goldmine. Now, if you're listening to this in real time, I know you're thinking, do we really need to be thinking about fall right now? I'm just trying to enjoy my summer. And the short answer is yes, because here's the deal. August and September aren't just filler months between summer sales and Black Friday madness. They're powerful transitional moments where consumer behavior shifts, routines get reestablished, and your audience starts making plans for the rest of the year. And if you're not showing up during this window, you're missing out on priming your audience, building visibility, and creating momentum that carries you into a strong holiday season. So today, I want to break this whole thing down, why the fall transition matters, what kind of campaigns and offers you should be running, how to warm up your audience, what tools and tactics to use, and what mistakes to avoid. So first, let's talk about this awkward little zone between the summer slowdown and the holiday hustle, August and September. And this is especially true for you if you don't sell a traditional back-to-school product, right? But you probably think, oh, people aren't really shopping right now. Everyone's still on vacation. It's too early to talk about fall. But none of that is true. Well, yes, they are on vacation. And yes, there is a seasonal slowdown. But your customers, they're not gone. They're scrolling Instagram at the beach. They're checking their inbox while they're on their travels. They're easing back into routines, thinking about their own back to school, and starting to plan for what the rest of the year is going to look like. That could be birthdays, fall routines, Halloween parties, early gift buying, or just nesting at home during the cozy season. And I want you to be able to tap into all of that. Think about August and September as your warm-up before the big Q4 performance. If you wait and don't start marketing until the end of September or October, you're walking into the biggest sales season of the year cold, hoping people will remember you. And unfortunately, they probably won't. So marketing during the fall transition helps you build awareness, reignite relationships with existing customers, gather data for smarter Q4 strategies, test messaging and offers in a low-stakes environment, and stay consistent and top of mind before the inbox flood hits. In short, it makes your life so much easier come November. You can think of it like foreplay for Q4. And you don't necessarily have to do a full-on product launch or some big sale. This is really just about showing up and creating a conversation around your brand, which brings us to the consumer mindset in August and September. To really market well during this season, you have to understand the psychology of your customer. People are craving a reset. Even if they're not students, even if they're not teachers, even if they're not parents, there's something about this transition back to school season that triggers a fresh start feeling. That could look like new planners, fresh notebooks, maybe a cute new outfit or two. That sense of getting back on track after the craziness of the summer. If they do have kids, those kids are going back to school, which frees up the parent. And it's a universal energy that spills over into everything: routines, home spaces, wellness habits, skincare, fashion, all of it. And this bleeds into their buying behavior, right? So they're thinking practically, what do I need right now to feel more in control, to get more organized? They're feeling inspired. What do they want to refresh, reinvent, or improve? They're building habits or getting back into habits. So what tools or products can support my new goals? And if your product can fit into one of those categories, and I'm sure that it can, you've got a great way to ride that seasonal energy. So what exactly does marketing during this fall transition look like in real life? Let's dig into some campaign ideas and inspiration across different industries. So whether you sell candles or cardigans, skincare or snacks, there is a way to show up for your customers during this season that feels timely and strategic. For example, if you sell apparel and accessories, fall is a natural time for a wardrobe refresh, and it's really one of the biggest apparel seasons. Of course, this is my background, so I kind of always default to that. But people are heading back to work, back to school. They're not quite ready to give up all of their favorite summer pieces, but maybe the weather is cooling off, so they want some transitional items to bring those summer pieces into fall, but they're also anxious for sweaters and things like that, but it's not quite cold enough to wear them. So here you're thinking layers, transitional pieces, and then those early crisp fall, like that first sweater layer or that first pair of ankle boots, those cozy vibes for pumpkin-packed selfies and date nights. So you could create a campaign like Fall for this look, which is totally overused. Please come up with something more clever than that. You could run a 30-day fall style challenge on Instagram or TikTok. Highlight different outfit combos, layering tips, and lean into user-generated content if you have affiliates or ambassadors that you work with. And you don't necessarily have to be super salesy during this time, although sales will naturally happen when you're able to position the product you sell for this time in the customer's life. But really, I want you to focus on building visibility and brand presence and getting your customers re-engaged so that you are top of mind when Q4 hits. If you sell skincare or beauty, start thinking about what is changing or what should be changing in your customers' routine. They could be experiencing sun damage from the summer. If they live in a humid climate, the air is going to start drying out and they're going to need a heavier moisturizer. Your customers are going to start feeling it and looking for a fix for that seasonal transition. So this is the perfect time to promote a post-summer skin reset kit, or you could run a campaign, rehab your summer skin. Tap into their seasonal pain points and help them reestablish routines as they head into fall. If you sell home goods, candles, or lifestyle products, nesting energy is going to start kicking in. People are going to be spending more time at home. They're going to organize, they're going to decorate, they're going to create cozy little spaces, right? So you can do something like a cozy season starter kit where you release or feature seasonal products, certain scented candles, throw blankets, that sort of thing. If you sell food or beverage, comfort food season is here. People don't need to be in bathing suits and bikinis anymore. And they can hide under their wide leg jeans and their sweatshirts. So pumpkin spice, apple cinnamon, anything they can snuggle up with, you know the drill. So maybe you create a bundle that's a fall flavor flight or a cozy night in bundle. You can create themes around movie marathons or game nights. Think about what your perfect customer is going to be doing during this time and how your product relates to their life. If you sell stationery, gifts, or paper goods, you could tap into those early gift shoppers or your back to school people. Maybe they want to bring teachers gifts or thank yous for holidays and things like that. Again, these don't have to be big, full-blown launches, although you can totally do that too. But really, it's just about creating touch points to re-engage your audience before the holiday begins. So if you're not quite sure how this works with your product, here are a couple of questions you can ask yourself to get the wheels turning. What is changing in your customer's life right now? Are they returning to work or school? Are they refreshing their space? Are they making new commitments? And how does your product support those changes? Does it make them feel more in control, more confident, more comfortable? What emotions are they feeling in this season? Nostalgia, excitement, overwhelm, a craving for comfort. Can you tie your product into seasonal rituals like baking, decorating, organizing, nesting and hanging out at home, or gifting? And what would make them want to reconnect with you right now? Is it a new drop? Is it a themed bundle? Or is it just a fun, unexpected educational email in their inbox? Take your answers and build a little campaign around them and give it some fun little name. Makes it easier to market. So some really lame ones that I came up with are the Cozy Comeback Collection, Pumpkin Everything Picks, September Reset Kit, Fall for This Look, the Back to You bundle. Ultimately, your goal is just to position your product for how your customer is thinking and feeling right now. And we have talked about this on the podcast before. I think last time it was in regard to summer. I'll stick a link in the show notes for that episode because I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head. But remember that your customer is not necessarily thinking of how your product maps to every single thing in their life. It is your job to market it to them that way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about execution and planning your fall content calendar, because ideas are great, but we know that if we don't execute it and execute it well and consistent, it's not going to do us any good. Now, when it comes to creating campaigns like this, one of the biggest mistakes all business owners make is expecting customers to instantly interact with whatever it is we're promoting or talking about. But that's just not how this works. We are not the most important thing in our customers' lives. And we have to keep showing up and talking about what we have to sell. While it feels like a lot to you because you're on email and social and probably multiple platforms and sending multiple emails per week or per month, each individual customer is only seeing a fraction of what you're sending or posting. So to them, it's barely a handful of mentions. Maybe they see it twice. And then the people who do see everything you post, the ones that you are so afraid to annoy, which honestly is little to no one. But even if you do have people in your audience who see it all, they are your diehard fans and customers. They're engaging with you so much that the algorithms are showing them all of your content, so they don't care. And if it's not a message that they want to hear right now, or if they've already seen it, or if they've already taken action on it, they're just going to tune it out. So don't stress about those people. So what does this look like in practice? Your best bet is to plan for a 6-ish week window. So that gives you 2 weeks of warm up, 2 weeks of launching, and 2 weeks of post-launch. That doesn't necessarily mean that all you're talking about is fall, whether it's a new product you're releasing or your best fall items. Like, you're still going to sprinkle in best sellers and any standard brand content you talk about, but it ensures that your audience has enough time to get engaged and take action on whatever it is you want them to do, whether it is a new product drop, a bundle, a sale, whatever. So for the first 2 weeks, you're really going to focus on re-engagement, which you can do with teaser and behind the scenes content. So whatever it is you're promoting, we want to tease those things. Weeks 3 and 4 are where you're really focusing on whatever thing you're promoting. So whether it's a curation of your product, new products, bundle, doesn't matter. Those 2 weeks, this is like your offer is live time where you're just going to be talking about that. And then weeks 5 and 6, this is kind of the post-launch, but you still want to be talking about the same thing. So this is where you can share early responses that you're getting from customers who really loved the items that they bought. You can start pointing out what some of those favorites were. Let's say you have a curation of products, or maybe you launched a new collection. And so this is where you can start highlighting what those best sellers were for people. And then if you're getting any social proof, so maybe people are posting on social, they're leaving reviews, that sort of thing, you can share that here too. So it just gives you the opportunity to continue talking about whatever it is you're promoting. So over those weeks, you're going to be talking about that same thing in email and on social, wherever it is that you show up to market your business. Lounge members, access Launch Badassery in your course hub for more specific details on executing a campaign like this. Even if you don't bother with building an early access list, there's still a content calendar in there that walks you through how to build excitement, go live with your offer, etc. Now, when it comes to your emails, there are a ton of different ways you can tackle this, and it's totally going to depend on your product, your business. Are you launching something new? Are you curating existing items? Did you put together a new bundle? Are you having a sale? It's going to be all dependent on that. But I just wanted to give you a few email campaign ideas so you can start to think about how this applies to your business. So the first one is a "we missed you" win back email. Re-engaging customers who haven't shopped with you in a while right before a campaign or a heavy shopping season is super important. Depending on what you sell and who you sell it to, there's going to be a segment of your audience that only engages with you during certain times of the year. We don't want to count these people out. Let's start engaging them early. Even if they don't buy from you in the fall, you'll be back on their radar in time for Q4. You could also do a fall favorite series. As we've been discussing, you want to show your customer how your product fits into this season of their life. Creating dedicated emails and content around this topic is the best way to present this information. And depending on your product assortment, you could either do a dedicated email for each product, you could do it by category, or you can create curations of products from within your assortment. You can also lean into the idea of getting back to routine, self-care, etc. This can usually be super powerful for moms, right? Because when the kids go back to school, it frees her up too, and she gets a little bit of her own time back. But you don't want to just send a one-off email that talks about how hey, here's how to get back to your routine, right? Because they might not see it. So instead, you could create a mini challenge that people can do over a few days or even a few weeks, depending upon what makes sense for your brand. For example, if you sell makeup, you can give them a list of tasks like throw out expired items, clean your brushes, treat yourself to a face mask, swap out certain products for the new season, like a heavier moisturizer for the drier months, like I mentioned earlier. So think about what kind of mini challenge can you create around your products, and that could be something super simple that you email and post on social. Of course, we have the "what's coming soon" teaser. So with any campaign or launch, the most important thing you can do is build buzz ahead of time. That's why you want to spend that 2 weeks kind of teasing things out and getting people excited. How much information you give and at what cadence is going to totally be unique to your business. But typically, I find the more you give away ahead of time, the better your audience will convert. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule. It might work differently in your business, and it's something you have to test. But the nice thing about giving it all away is by the time the product or products are available, the customer has already made their buying decision. If you're too cryptic, launch day is when they'll begin their decision-making process, and it's easy to lose momentum. My goal is always for you to get the customer to a point that by the time launch day comes around, they've already decided they want the thing that you're selling and they buy right away. And then lastly is a feedback email. A quick customer survey or poll at this stage can be super helpful. Getting insight into what your customers are looking for or thinking about for the holiday season can help streamline your decision-making for Q4. Even if it's as simple as asking them, who are you buying gifts for? that could inform you how to package up your upcoming items and develop your gift guide categories when you do launch your holiday campaign. So think about what you wish you knew, what you had answers to, keep it really simple, and just send an email about it. And obviously, as you can tell with some of the angles that I'm talking about here, not all of these emails are really about sales, right? They're about touch points. It's rebuilding the habit of this customer engaging with your brand. It's rebuilding the habit of you showing up, right? Because when Q4 rolls around and people's inboxes start getting flooded, you are someone that they've already been engaging with for the past couple of months, and they're naturally going to be drawn to you as someone they recognize and trust. Okay, so that's the general campaign strategy and some email ideas for you. Let's talk about social media. If you are using social media in your business, your number one goal during this time should be engagement. You want people paying attention to you again, because the more they engage with your brand now through comments, saves, shares, and replies, the more the algorithm will reward you later. So instead of just posting for the sake of posting and staying consistent, I want you to really think about content that invites participation and engagement. So what does that look like? So we talked already about doing sneak peeks, and you're absolutely going to want to do this, but you could also create a contest with your audience. You don't even necessarily need to give anything away. It's just about creating engagement. So you could show a blurred photo or a close-up detail of your product and ask your followers to guess what it is. Maybe they get a special discount or something like that. But again, it's really just about creating that engagement on your posts. You could also do this or that poll. So post 2 product options side by side. Maybe it's 2 different scents for the holidays that you're thinking about, or just 2 scents you have coming out for fall. You could do it with different outfits, whatever. It doesn't matter. And just have your audience vote on it. So not only does it make them feel just engaged with your brand and like they're a part of it, but it also helps you gauge interest. Now, depending on how long your lead times are, your production time, etc., maybe it's not going to help you make a buying decision for your business, but it could help you make a marketing decision. If you know that there is a certain scent that just overwhelmingly got the attention, you know you're going to want to lean into that more. Maybe it's a sweater that you showed 2 different ways to wear it, and one of them aggressively outperformed the other, well, then you know the style of your audience and what sort of content is more likely to resonate with them later on. You could also do live product walkthroughs. I think this is especially important if you are launching new products. Go live, walk your audience through the must-have items that are launching, answer questions in real time, get that immediate feedback from people, and like I always talk about when it comes to live video, think of yourself as a host on a live shopping show. These customers cannot touch, feel, taste, smell. And so it's your job to convey all of that to them. You know, I'm not really a huge fan of giveaways, but this is something that you could do on social. Just make it seasonally specific and give away a gift card or something like that. So you know that they have to spend it with you, right? And you're not giving them something that's just going to attract people who want free stuff. You also want to make sure that you are creating some urgency and some FOMO. Now, if you don't really feel like going through the trouble of creating an early access list, you don't necessarily have to do that, but maybe you just put countdown stickers in your stories, or you have daily posts that count down to whatever it is that you're releasing. Just create a little buzz and fun and excitement. And then if you do want to do the early access, or you just want to get more people on your email list, use a tool like ManyChat. My affiliate link in the show notes will get you 30 days for free, or you can use Instagram's built-in auto reply feature. That won't let you actually collect emails like ManyChat does, but if you just wanted to be able to send them the link to the specific product or collection or something like that, then you can just use the built-in auto reply stuff and just have a call to action on every single post that you put out there. to make it really easy for the customer to get where you want them to go. Now, as you're thinking about how you are going to approach this fall transition marketing season in your business, let's just run through some of the most common mistakes that I see and things that I want to make sure you avoid. First is going silent, right? Yes, it's normal for the summer months to be slower and for you to pull back a bit on your marketing. But August and September is the perfect season to get back into the swing of things. So do something. Next up is launching too late. And this is a little bit similar to the going silent, but I just want to remind you that unless you sell something so unique that they can't get it anywhere else, your customers are going to shop with whoever shows up first. And I want you to beat the crowd. So keep that in mind, not only for this transitional time, but also as we move into Q4. Number 3 is trying to do too much. While I love a well-crafted launch, and there are certain seasons, launches, promotions where you absolutely need that, you don't need a massive campaign to be successful during this time. If you're already stretched thin or actively taking time away from your business, especially in August, that's cool. Focus on consistency over complexity. Another mistake I see is not taking this time to test offers. One of the number one questions I always get when it comes to Black Friday strategy is, what should my offer be? Truth is, the offer depends on your goals because different types of offers have different outcomes. But it's also important to understand what your customers respond to. So if you don't know the answer to that, use this time to test it and see, is it a straight discount? Is it a bundle? Is it a buy more, save more? Is it a free shipping offer? Test those things out and see what happens. The one thing I always want you to be thinking about when you're analyzing how did a specific offer, sale, promotion, whatever, how did it perform? I want to make sure that you actually have net new sales versus just giving money away. And I talk about this probably in every episode that I talk about Q4 because I talk about promotions and what they do a lot. But sometimes what happens, and you see this mostly when you're offering a straight discount, a straight site-wide discount, right? People just come, they buy the best of the best, and it's things they would have paid full price for. And you don't earn enough extra revenue to make up for the profit difference. And so you either end up actually making less money or breaking even. And so you really just gave money away. What I want to see is that you saw such a lift in revenue that you actually brought home more profit dollars. And so as you're testing offers, that's what you want to be looking at. And then lastly, ignoring data. You know I love me some data, right? So as you're ramping up your marketing, this is the perfect time to watch those numbers and get a sense of what is and isn't working. Look at your email metrics, your conversion rates, what products are trending, what promotions are working, right? Because all of those data points can help inform the decisions you make come the holiday season. All right, so that was kind of a lot, but you're still here listening, so I know you're ready to take action. So let's do a quick little recap here. August and September, they are your Q4 warm-up. Your audience is craving a reset. Show them how your product supports that. You don't necessarily need new stuff. If you have it, awesome, but don't create a collection just for this. You just need fresh positioning and storytelling. Be consistent with your content and focus on re-engagement. And then test and learn now so you can crush it in Q4. And if you want more ongoing support and feedback in your business, come join me inside the lounge. It's the perfect place for you to get a handle on your marketing focus, your data, and to have me help you hash out your marketing plans. Go to eCommerceBadassery.com/membership for all the details. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this week's episode. If you weren't necessarily planning to do anything special, remember that you can kind of half-ass this and still do okay. It's not necessarily about a big splashy sales campaign that makes you a ton of money. It's just about reconnecting with your customer and getting them to pay attention to you. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh shit, Jessica, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? I want to take some of that pressure off. You don't necessarily need to do more marketing, but maybe you're just going to shift the way you market and the things you talk about and the way you position your product, etc., to get those people re-engaged. Okay? No stress. And on that note, I'm out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at eCommerceBadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at eCommerceBadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.